Hello,
Greetings.
this is Juliet.
It's good to see you.
So, if anybody doesn't know Juliet, Juliet is like the original person in our area where we live who I don't know, in your own words, did all things spiritual, metaphysical,
Yeah,
just all nice things.
it's
Uh,
it's just been a while. I'm kind of
yeah,
semi-retired now, so I know there's a whole bunch of people who have started their inquiry journey, their discovery journey in times that I haven't really been active in the community. So this is a great opportunity. Luke invited me to come play with you all to introduce myself and to hang out and see what interesting conversations come up and talk a little bit about my class mini workshop talk that I'm going to do at the Positive Living Group on Friday evening.
yeah. So I dragged Juliet out of retirement. I've been hassling her for a little while because Juliet is my not my only mentor, really. It kind of went from Juliet to myself. In that sense.
Best
I
way to
didn't
go.
I didn't stop anywhere else in between. So for me, it's really important that you guys get to meet her and that you start doing what you do again in the world. As much as I don't know how far out of retirement you're going to come.
It kind of depends how Friday goes, really.
Yeah. So there are some people that already know and love Juliet that have signed up for Friday, but this whole purpose of this is to introduce you to Juliet for those that don't know her. And to learn about the power of positive music, which is your subject.
The power of positive music, yes. One of the things because Luke had been inviting me for a while to come out of my retirement and come play, and when I was contemplating that and I was considering, well, what do I have to bring that I would consider to be of value at the moment in the times that we live in, and what I know even in our own local community, our own sort of spiritual, metaphysical community, is that because of everything else that's happening in the world at the moment, there are a lot of differing viewpoints and there has been division. And what I know to be the truth of my whole being is that really we're all one. And so what I started to contemplate is if I'm going to do something, what do I think could be the most valuable thing to do? And when I was thinking more and more about that and meditating on it and doing my version of praying or contemplation, what I know for me is that music is incredibly powerful. It can transform a mood from a great mood to a miserable mood and vice versa. It can salve wounded parts of us. It can inspire us and motivate us to do different things. So that's really what drove me. It literally was a divine download. I'd been just putting that sort of contemplation into the world of what unites us. And to me, music is one of the most uniting things across all faith cultures, across all nations, that we have a common love of music, even if the music is completely different. And so, yeah, I actually happened to be coming back from driving my wife to poker one evening, and it literally, the whole idea for the class came as a divine download to invite anybody that comes along on Friday to rekindle their own connection to music and ultimately to discover within themselves a way to use music to help a conscious transformation, rather than, we hear a piece of music and it moves us and it's completely unconscious, but we can use music and lyrics and words to create our own personal transformation and use it actively and consciously on our own terms. And so that's really what Friday is going to be all about.
I love that it came to you while you were driving. Because I mean, anyone that drives, you can't beat that kind of driving, listening to your favorite music,
Right.
singing out loud, whether you can sing or not. For me, I just love, like, when I'm going to drive to my retreat this month, I'm so looking forward to that 4 hour drive by myself where I can just listen to probably Eurovision, and belt out some terribly sounding sounds from my mouth, but have a great time.
And if you
You
didn't already
know?
know that about Luke, he is very passionate about Eurovision. I'm not allowed to take the mickey. It's one of his big passions.
Yeah, it's terrible. I know. I understand the nature of Eurovision. I'm not under any illusions that it's good quality, but I enjoy it.
There's been some spectacular songs come out of Eurovision
Yeah,
over the years.
yeah, I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I love that came to you by driving, because also I find that driving is really meditative. for me. It's not for everybody, but for me, I find it, if I'm like, you can drive from A to B, particularly if it's a familiar route, and not even really recognize how you've got there. And for me, that's a form of meditation, because you're completely away with it. And I love that.
Yeah, that's the good news and the other news about driving, isn't it? But yeah, I never used to find driving that calming. When I used to work in a corporate world, for those of you that don't know me, I had a long career in the printing and design industry, and I worked in corporate organizations managing print and document management, that kind of thing. And I used to commute long hours. And I used to be a maniac. I'd get behind the wheel, and if I was
yellow Mercedes,
in my yellow Mercedes, if I was a little bit late leaving home, I knew my journey would be so much longer, and I just used to drive like a maniac. And then I had again, one of those epiphany moments when I just realized, hang on, if I carry on like this, I'll either kill me or somebody else. And so from that point, which is decades ago, literally now, I just transformed my time in the car into a creative time, whether it's listening to podcasts or books or music, or being in the stillness and just allowing whatever thoughts to come. But I totally agree. It can be incredibly meditative. And that's just the power of, it's not even just music, sound. Sound activates. I mean, every faith tradition, mainstream faith tradition, at some point talks about the power of the word. In the Christian Bible, it's literally, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was good. And sound, not just words per se, but sound is incredibly creative. It is a foundational building block of life. It's pure energy. And when we use pure energy to create, we can create anything.
And science are catching up with this now. I mean, even if you think about sound frequencies, and I think I've told you this, but my daughter is going to be having, I think it's Johansson's sound treatment or sound therapy, where they're going to retune the frequencies that she can hear in her brain through playing her daily frequencies of sound.
That's amazing.
And that's the scientific thing that they're now using, and that's going to help her ADHD and her sensory processing disorder.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. And one of the, I know you've had Monica come to your studio, and one of the most powerful treatments, holistic treatments I've ever had, is with Monica having sound therapy, which is, for those of you, if you've never experienced sound therapy, they put like singing bowls that are tuned to particular frequencies actually on the body and around the body, and then tone those in. And that's one of the things, without the singing bowls, but that's one of the things we'll be doing on Friday, is exploring tonal notes and how they make us feel. Because when we understand what works for us, then we can use that at any time. And you touched on it just now, Luke. Thank you so much for this sudden segue. But if you're thinking about coming on Friday, but you're like, oh, if I'm going to have to sing, I can't do that. You can. I promise you, I was raised being told I should never sing, and it was a terrible thing. And it turns out that the reason that was always told to me was because my mum had sound processing issues from being in bombing in the war, and she couldn't deal with noise. And I've sung in multiple choirs and done all kinds of vocal things around the world, and discovered that, yes, I can sing. And it really doesn't matter what noise comes out of you. You have the capacity to create noise that resonates in your body. So even if you've been told you can't sing, or you're worried about how you sound, and that's maybe putting you off about coming on Friday, please set that to one side. Everybody can make a sound that resonates for their own body and for their own creative power.
I remember when I was on work experience, when I was
going back a couple
14,
of days,
15, and there was a lady at the place that I worked, and she was in a choir. And I can't remember, we got talking about it, and I said, oh, I'm tone deaf. And she's like, well, no, you're probably not, unless you're physically tone deaf. And I didn't realize that was a physical thing at the time. I was just saying, I'm tone deaf. And she said, everybody can sing. It doesn't mean you have to sound good, but everyone can physically sing. And the other thing that I learned through my yoga practice is chanting. And I don't do it in my classes necessarily. But again, all of the chants that come through, and they're all in Sanskrit language, are designed to resonate on different frequencies, and each one of those frequencies will attach to a certain part of your body or your soul or whatever. But that's what that's about, and they can be considered a form of prayer or a form of meditation or whatever word that you want to use. But again, that's all frequency based.
Yeah, and every tradition has a variation of that. I studied a lot of Taoism, and in some of the Taoist practices, they have the vowel sounds that are they also come up in Qigong and other practices. And again, resonate with different aspects of the body, different aspects of consciousness. So sound, no matter which way you cut it, sound is incredibly powerful for creating personal transformation. And that's what I'm all about.
Great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Exciting. I'm glad that I managed to finally drag you out of retirement. How many years is it since you last did something public? I want to say 6.
It's got to be that, because it's definitely before COVID, because everything ended at COVID, and I sort of didn't come out of retirement after that. But yeah, it's probably 6 or 7 years. Yeah, definitely.
And then I guess I probably met you 15-ish years ago at least. I want to say 2009, 10, something like that.
Could be around that.
Yeah, but I mean, Juliet introduced me to all of this. Like, the reason that I'm sat here today, the reason that I have a wellbeing centre, the reason that I do what I do, because of this one.
Sorry.
And we only met by chance. Well, a weird connection. I used to work as in HR in a hotel, and I'd hired somebody who happens to be the sister-in-law of your best friend, who said, you need to meet my friend Juliet, and just kind of by that tedious link, we got connected, and then here we are.
Yeah. All these years later. Wow. Yes, absolutely. There's somebody else that you need to have come to your centre.
I know. Well, I had her booked in. Unfortunately, she's poorly, so she will come back. I messaged her actually just a couple of weeks ago, and she said, I'm not ready yet, but I will.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll definitely be there to support.
Yeah. Great. So super looking forward to it. I'll make sure I pop the link for booking in the comments to this. And yeah, if we can all turn up to support Juliet, because then that might drag her out of retirement. Otherwise, we might not see her again.
I had a question from somebody that was interested in coming. Can they book on the day, or can they rock up on the day, or do they need to book online?
My preference is booking online, because it's easier to manage numbers. I know how many to prepare for. The challenge I have when people turn up on the day is often they don't turn up.
Yeah.
So they say they will and they don't, and then we lose a space to sell to somebody else.
For sure.
However,
just wanted to
I can be flexible if you talk to me nicely.
I think the key to that is let Luke know, even if you might have to be a last minute for stuff. I know
you can book on last minute easily.
Yeah, we know a lot of people at the moment in our world who are struggling with just life challenges, and so sometimes knowing what you're going to be doing, even in a few hours' time, isn't always that easy, and I totally get that. And so as long as you can kind of reach out to Luke. If you're watching a Facebook Live, then we've got to assume that you have Messenger, so you can always just ping him a message. And the other thing to know is that if you consider yourself to be neurodiverse in any way, please know that that's something that we're very tuned into. And so my teaching, sharing, communication style is very much geared to helping everybody get something from it, no matter where you are, in terms of how your spectacular brain works. So don't let that be a barrier either if you're thinking of coming along.
Great. We love a bit of inclusivity.
It's essential. It's the only way we roll.
Even Colin the dog's coming.
Yes.
I hope you like it. He's a little dachshund. He's relatively harmless.
Yeah, he's a real little old man now. We were just talking about that. He's 13 and a half now, and so he's mostly very harmless, and he'll probably be in his own little pram. Bless him, yeah. All
right. Wow, nice to see you all. Lovely to have Juliet here.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you Friday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.